Everyone. This is Professor Hall, and this is our fourth short lecture on sentence types. Today we are going to look at compound complex sentences. And if you haven't heard of compound sentences or complex sentences, please click on my profile, and there is a list of sentence structures and grammatical errors, and those lectures are in there for you. So let's get started. What we've learned and where we're going. So, what step are we on today? So far, we looked at three sentence structure types: simple, compound, and complex. Today, we are looking at compound complex sentences. And next, we will discuss sentence variety. Finally, later, we're going to look at sentence variety in authentic materials. So we'll talk about why it's actually relevant, not just for like an exercise where you can answer some questions, but in real life. So if you're a web content developer, if you are doing work with social media, if you have to write papers for your other college classes or some kind of business documents, why sentence variety is important and why it's kind of important to know these types of sentence structures. So let's get started. A simple sentence is known as an independent clause. It has a subject and a predicate. That's the verb phrase. A subject and a verb, and it stands on its own as a complete thought. Julie took her dog to the park. Julie, there in blue, is our subject, and took is our verb. The whole thing here, took her dog to the park, would be a predicate. A compound sentence, compound means to mix two or more things, has two independent clauses or simple sentences joined together by a coordinating conjunction, which is also, we know them as fanboys. For and nor, but, or, yet, and so. Julie took her dog to the park, comma, and she met up with Tom. A complex sentence joins a dependent clause with an independent clause. So we talked about this before. Dependent clauses have a different type of conjunction at the beginning. You have a list of those, and they don't stand by themselves as a complete thought. So they have to be joined together with an independent clause. After she met up with Tom, comma, Julie took her dog to the park, or Julie took her dog to the park after she met up with Tom. You can have the dependent clause before the independent or after. Either way, it's kind of up to you, however you choose to write it. But here the dependent clause is first. Oops, sorry. And here it comes second. Okay, so that's our review. With a compound complex sentence, basically, they have two or more independent clauses and one or more dependent clauses. So this is an example. Although I like camping, it's our dependent clause. Comes first, so we get the comma. I haven't had any time to go lately. That's our independent clause. And it's our conjunction. I haven't found anyone to go with. Independent clause. Oops, that looks crazy. Sorry, everybody. Right, I'm not just having a mouse, but it's my mouse pad on my laptop, so writing on it is a little bit tricky. Okay, so essentially, you're adding a compound sentence to a complex sentence. The simple sentence would be, I haven't found anyone to go with. Another simple sentence would be, I haven't had the time to go lately. They're joined together by the and. I haven't had any time to go lately, and I haven't found anyone to go with. So that would be a compound sentence. Adding that dependent clause, although I like to go camping, comma, that's what makes it compound complex. We're going to have some more examples just to clarify this. All right, so let's make a compound complex sentence. Independent clause. Miles Walker went to school. Independent plus a conjunction plus another independent. That's the compound. Remember, compound means we're mixing two or more things, or we're joining two or more things together. Miles Walker went to school, but he skipped English class. So in the blue is our simple sentence, and the yellow is a conjunction, and then the blue is another simple sentence. That's the compound. An independent clause plus a dependent clause would be the complex. Although he was tired, comma, Miles Walker went to school. So we have our dependent clause first, although he was tired, and then it combines with Miles Walker went to school, the simple sentence. Miles Walker went to school, although he was tired. Here, it's the same thing. I just want to show you can have that dependent clause before or after the independent. I know here it says independent plus dependent, but you think like in math, right? 3 plus 5 is going to be the same thing as 5 plus 3. And if you're a math person, I hope this helps. Both of them equal 8, right? So you can have it before or you can have it after. So let's make this into a compound complex sentence. We're going to join the two together. Although he was tired, Miles Walker went to school, but he skipped English class. So we have our dependent, our independent, our conjunction, and our other independent. All three of those together make the compound complex sentence. Miles Walker went to school, but he skipped English class because he was tired. Here we have the independent, the conjunction, the second independent, and then the dependent. Independent, conjunction, and independent. So again, just switching up how the pattern a tiny bit to move things around, but it's the same idea. Okay, let's look at another example. Here's my simple sentence. My goldfish Trudy is sick. And let's make that compound. So we're going to join two simple sentences together. My goldfish Trudy is sick, comma, and I need to buy medicine. There's our conjunction. Now it's compound. So our complex. Since something spilled in the fish tank, my goldfish Trudy is sick. Dependent clause, and then the independent. Or we could do it the other way. My goldfish Trudy is sick since something spilled in the fish tank. And now we come to the trickiest one, the compound complex sentence. Since something spilled in my fish tank, my goldfish Trudy is sick, and I need to buy medicine. So here we've got the dependent, the independent, the conjunction, and then our second independent. I'll circle the conjunction there. I meant to make this blue, but that's fine. Or, I'm guessing, yep, we can switch it around. My goldfish Trudy is sick, and I need to buy medicine since something spilled in the fish tank. So independent, conjunction, and independent, that's the compound part, right? And then the dependent clause, here, that's what makes it compound complex. Okay, one last one. The children built snowmen in the yard. That's my simple sentence. Now I'm going to add some clauses to this, some independent clauses with conjunctions. The children built snowmen in the yard, and they came inside to drink hot chocolate, but they soon ran outside again. So this is still a compound sentence. It's just I wanted to give you a pattern with 3 independent clauses instead of just 2, because really it's 2 or more. Dependent, and then our conjunction, and then our other independent. So it's independent, conjunction, independent, conjunction, independent. A compound sentence. And here's our complex. While it snowed outside, the children built snowmen in the yard. That's our dependent clause. We have that dependent marker word while, then a comma, and then the independent clause. Or the opposite way. The children built snowmen in the yard, no comma, while it snowed outside. It's our dependent marker word, or again, another type of conjunction. So this is going to be a long sentence, but it will be grammatically correct, and it's a compound complex sentence. While it snowed outside, the children built snowmen in the yard, and they came inside to drink hot chocolate. But they soon ran outside again because they were having fun. So we have a lot of clauses here. We start with a dependent, and it's correctly connected to the independent. Then we have our conjunction, and we have our second independent, right? Again, that compound sentence. We have another conjunction and another independent, and then we have our last dependent at the end, no comma in between. So I hope that this has sort of helped you to see how you would combine sentences, because when we talk about sentence variety, we're going to look at how to mix up or vary the types of sentences that we use. And I wanted you guys to kind of know the types of sentence structures before we talked about that. So let's review before we move on. This is an authentic material, and I'm going to zoom in here, that somebody has marked up for us. So this is from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. His blue eyes were light, bright, and sparkling behind half-moon spectacles, and his nose was very long and crooked, as though it had been broken at least twice. So we have an independent clause. His blue eyes were light, bright, and sparkling behind half-moon spectacles. Then our conjunction and. Then another independent clause. His nose was very long and crooked. That could be a sentence on its own if we wanted. As though, that's that dependent marker word, it had been broken at least twice. So independent, conjunction, independent, dependent. A great example, and not too long of one, and a little bit interesting, I hope. So compound complex sentences do just that. They combine two or more independent clauses with one or more dependent clauses. Essentially, it's like adding a compound sentence with a complex sentence. Or if you want to think about it in terms of simple sentences, it's like adding a couple simple sentences together with a dependent clause, at least one. These sentences are longer, and often they contain more than one idea, but those ideas are connected together in the correct way. They're joined by conjunctions. So sometimes people think that these are run-on sentences because they're longer, but we'll talk about run-on sentences later, and we'll show how that's not really the case. Really, with a run-on sentence, it's just sentences that aren't joined quite the right way. Next time, we're going to look at sentence variety, and then we're going to look at how those sentences can be practically combined. So not just in the classroom, but in real life. And then later on, we're going to talk about sentence flaws. So some of the things I mentioned, fragments and run-on sentences, and hopefully you'll have a little bit better background before we jump into those. So that is it. I hope to see you there. And if you have any questions, just put them in the comments or in the discussion boards in our class and let me know. Thanks, everybody.